Walmart will close all 51 of its healthcare centers stretching across Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Missouri, and Texas. On Tuesday, the company said Walmart is also putting an end to virtual healthcare services too. A shocking and abrupt reversal in Walmart's strategy that is likely to leave a gap in healthcare access, particularly for lower income patients without insurance who relied on the centers. But sadly, one of the unique things that they were focused on were stores located in underserved communities. It's disappointing that Walmart wasn't able to make it work because these patients need care and don't have as many options. Walmart said it was a difficult decision, but its healthcare push was not profitable for the company because of the challenging reimbursement environment and escalating operating costs. As per the usual, profit over people, and the company said, "We determined there is not a sustainable business model for us to continue." Walmart's closures, as well as other retailers across the country, reflect the challenges for primary healthcare providers in the United States, with a huge shortage of almost 60,000 primary care physicians expected in the next decade alone. Now, this means more sick people and less trained professionals to offer them care, or at least in their communities, and that they can actually afford. But we kind of saw it coming though, or at least we should have expected it to happen. But unfortunately, it won't stop there. All things considered, and based on the fact that the US recession is already here, the economy following China's path per Business Insider, and the grand total of store closures could reach upwards of 1,755, with the additional closures hitting customers all across the country who have been told to go elsewhere to get their prescriptions. Because another Rite Aid location has announced it will be shutting its doors as the company struggles with bankruptcy. The pharmacy chain filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in October after allegations of mishandling addictive opioids. But in March, at a hearing in Trenton, New Jersey, the company's attorney said Rite Aid had reached an agreement on all key points with stakeholders. Now, some junior bondholders questioned the deal, but the company said it would work to resolve any remaining concerns. No details were provided about the settlement, and the company is hoping to exit bankruptcy in April. Well, the guy today left. But in order to stay afloat, Rite Aid announced in February that it was going to shut at least 72 locations. And before filing for bankruptcy, the company listed 2,072 locations. Now, that total has dwindled down to only about 1,600, meaning it has shut almost over 400 stores in the last 6 months. Now, according to court documents, 154 stores were identified as underperforming and would be closing, and the company just continues to add to the list of closures all over the country. I think it goes without saying, but obviously, customers are upset. Shoppers are shocked by the mass closures and have shared their thoughts on social media. One person even posted a screenshot from one of the court documents of at least 19 closures in a Reddit thread. The comments were lit with so many users upset that some of their local locations were closing, and one person commenting on the Rite Aid employee experience. And I quote, "Sorry, this shitty company is playing bingo with your jobs," they wrote. Another saying, "Just close them or don't. They shouldn't do this weekly reverse raffle type shit to you guys." And finally, final list or more to come? Can they survive until the third quarter of 2024? Another person asked. Now, undoubtedly having a major impact on everyone's jobs, and this leads me to the Business Insider and why so many men in the US have stopped working. But what could be playing a role in America's working age men being employed at much lower rates than they used to be? Include a combination of factors, from recessions to globalization to rising addiction rates. If we think back and look through history, in the early 1950s, as many as 96% of prime working age American men who were between the ages of 25 and 54 had full-time or part-time jobs. But in 2024, as of the end of March, only about 86% of working age men were employed. That's a 10% reduction. And this cohort's employment rate has lagged behind many developed countries in recent years too. Now, unfortunately, because of this, so many men are struggling to support themselves financially. And mental health experts say the longer people are out of the workforce, the higher the chances they'll experience mental health challenges based on a few of these factors that it could explain what's happening. Now, it could be about recessions, because whenever the US economy fell into a recession, men's employment rate tended to suffer a longer lasting blow. We have seen this pattern repeat itself in 1953 during the Great Recession of 2008 and again now today. Also, another devastating impact hitting men hard today is the fact that many men with disabilities aren't working. In 1960, roughly 455,000 workers collected Social Security disability benefits. In 2022, more than 7.6 million people, including about 1.3 million men between the ages of 25 and 54, collected disability benefits. Some of this can be attributed to a growing and aging population and the expansion of these benefits over time. However, a challenging job market has also played a role. In 2023, about 44% of total men and women with a disability between the ages of 25 and 54 had a job, compared to roughly 83% of those without a disability. Adding insult to injury, addiction rates tied to the opioid epidemic have also sidelined some men from the workforce too. Other theories include education, or lack thereof, incarceration, and stay-at-home dads. Because let's be honest, there are other potential explanations for the decline of men in the workforce, including the rising share of men attending graduate school and more men working as stay-at-home dads or caring for elderly parents. Changing demand for jobs, driven in part by globalization and automation, has also hurt the job prospects of many men, particularly those employed in the manufacturing industry. More employers began seeking out candidates with higher levels of education, which has made it difficult for some men in the job market. And in recent years, some companies have become more open to hiring candidates who don't have a job degree or a college degree because they are cheaper and more cost effective for the company's overhead and profit and bottom line. There's also been job growth in industries that historically haven't required degrees, like manufacturing and food services, for instance, Tyson Chicken and some places like that. But finding a job without a degree, and one that pays well, can still be a challenge to this day. An economist at the Economic Policy Institute even said that a stagnant minimum wage and falling unionization rates have contributed to lower pay for some workers, with the lower pay directly impacting men and how they may be less motivated to take a job. Granted, we have seen a rise in minimum wage here and there, as well as renegotiated union contracts. But when compared with the rate of inflation, it's just kind of hard to keep up, make ends meet, afford the basic cost of living, earn a livable wage, and make any real headway. Prison and being locked up sucks too. Rising incarceration rates in recent decades could be making it difficult for some men to find work once they return to society. Incarcerated men aren't counted in government labor force statistics, but when they are released, their struggles to find work could depress the average male employment rate. In the past, many men opted for careers in the military, but there are fewer of these jobs than there used to be when compared to like back in the 1970s, when there were over 3 million full-time federal government military employees. But as of 2022, there were less than 1.5 million. The Economist said, post-World War II, we've seen pretty big declines since the late 60s and throughout the 1990s in terms of federal employment in the military. But while the military is actively seeking recruits, it appears to be a less attractive path nowadays for many men, with the numbers clearly indicating how the Army, Navy, and Air Force have struggled to meet recruitment goals. Add that to the rise of in and outs, or essentially men who temporarily leave the labor force but ultimately return, was responsible for a large chunk of men's declining working rates. And of course, some lucky prime age men aren't working because they've had a lot of financial success and they've already retired. But with so many factors at play, it's difficult to know which issue or which issues may affect the number of men in the workforce the most. But I don't know. What do you guys think? For instance, what kind of policy decisions could reverse the trend? Leave a comment below, or better yet, do you think now is the time to double down on training and education and schooling to enter the healthcare industry? Especially considering how Walmart's closures reflect the challenges for primary care providers in the United States. The planned shortage of around 55,000 primary care physicians expected in the next few years, and how this experience highlights the financial struggles that primary care has in general. I mean, it really speaks to what primary clinics are facing. Walmart claims to have originally opened clinics to try to fill a gap for its customers without health insurance, as well as people who have insurance plans with high deductibles and out-of-pocket costs. Don't mind me, it's getting really dark outside and I can hear the thunder. Now, it wasn't too long ago when Walmart CEO Doug McMillon said, and I quote, "Healthcare looks like a big opportunity," shortly after the first clinics opened. But as we can see now, soaring costs and access to primary care options remain persistent challenges, especially in rural areas, and Walmart is giving up on it, and people too, patients and staff. Walmart had originally chosen some of its locations because the areas had higher rates of chronic disease and fewer primary care physicians than average U.S. communities. These are people who came into the clinics and often had not seen a primary care physician in 2 or 3 years, or a dentist in 5 years. Because the dentist is no fun, honestly. But all we can take away from this is how now, today, Walmart's closures show that strength in retail does not always translate into healthcare. And there will still be poor, unhealthy, and ill patients and people who need care, but there won't necessarily be open clinics available for them to receive treatment and help. They said, it is different from selling products like toothpaste and breakfast cereal and requires different kinds of expertise and management. But just like on Shark Tank, and for those reasons, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for all, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.